Hello everybody, I'm Jacob Wolf, and I'm here today with Jake Boss from Jake Boss Media. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from Portland. I'm from Beaverton specifically. I've moved probably 15 times within the same 2-mile radius. I started media at Westview High School, and
How did you get started?
well, my buddy Sam, when I was 13, I totally thought that I was going to be a musical director at a high school or something.
Okay.
So we were registering in 8th grade for high school. He was like, "Hey, check out this media studies thing. You just make movies." And I'm like, "Okay." So we asked the girl about it. She's like, "Yeah, just make movies." And I'm like, "That sounds cool." So do that, and then paired up with Sam and a couple other people, and no one's really like buying into it, and no one wanted to put a whole lot of work into it. So I would be there after school working on this stupid like lightsaber video, but like cutting it to a Slipknot song. And, like it was sarcastic. It was me and some funny people, but nobody else like wanted to work on it. They had flash frames and horrible audio, but I couldn't stand for that. So then not my teacher then, but the main media teacher kind of saw me in there every day, and he offered advice and stuff on certain cuts I was working on. And, I didn't even realize that editorial was my passion, but that's kind of what kicked me off.
How did you figure that editorial was your passion?
I don't know. I always tried to be a class clown when I was a kid, and I think that it takes someone who is funny or thinks that they're funny to be able to cut really well, because it's a sense of timing, and you kind of affect an actor's performance. And not that I'm a great actor, but selling believability when it comes to a cut is really important to me. And I was sitting in this special topics class in school for, we were going to create one big movie over 10 weeks called like Crime Wave, but we get to the editor position, and everybody wants to be the director, the producer, the DP, but no one said they wanted to be the editor. So I'm like, I'll do it. Is that okay? Can I?
Can that be me?
Yeah. And I was only a sophomore in school, and there were a lot of juniors, seniors around me. So I'm like, why aren't these guys going for it? But, I took that job up, and I quickly realized why no one wanted to take it, because it was a lot of organization, and it was my first time working with Red Cam stuff, because we shot that on a Red Epic, which is kind of overkill, but it was a lot of fun. Learned some valuable skills, a lot about people during that project. Yeah.
What brought you to the Art Institute?
Well, like a lot of people in high school, you say, "Man, what the heck am I going to do with all this?" And then the counselor says, "Well, check out the Art Institute of Portland. It's real expensive, but it's got a good program." And I forgot about it for a couple years. Spent a year out of high school, and then I Googled film school. It was the first thing that came up, and since they're a for-profit corporation, I gave them my information, and they called me back immediately.
Right.
I did a few tours over 6 months, and then I was in summer classes the day after I kind of signed up, which I didn't want to do. They kind of pressured me into it. And it kind of ended up, working out and being a good move for me, but at the time, it was going so fast that if I didn't get real aware of what was happening, I could have lost a lot more money than I have. Because I don't really plan on graduating from there.
Right.
The degree just isn't something I want.
I didn't graduate from there either. I got a lot from the Art Institute, but I didn't get what I thought I was going to get.
Right. Well, you know what? The program there is spectacular, and I don't really feel like taking an environmental science class for $1,400 when I could just, talk to the department head and take the classes that I need to develop awesome skills and make some good content. So, I got to thank him big time for letting me skate through the system in a way that you really shouldn't be allowed to do.
Right. When did you start JakeBossMedia.com?
I started that website for honestly foundation portfolio. Everybody's had to kind of have their own website, and my grandpa has registered Boss Media as his kind of thing, And family's a big deal to me when it comes to my passions and hobbies, because I've taken a little bit of everything to create who I am. Like, my cousin was a drummer on a drum line. My other cousin was a synth player. My other cousin made movies. My grandpa did a video agency.
So there's a lot of art
Yeah.
art and media in your family.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, my parents' generation in our family, they're, corporate people. They really fit well into this marketing system and stuff. But my generation and my grandparents' generation were all musicians, artists. So we'll go to family reunions and there'll be 10 guitars going, and it'll be a lot of fun. But my grandpa, he started Boss Media, and I wanted to kind of pay tribute to that, as well as work together with him. So Jake Boss Media came from that, and media because I'm also a composer, and I've been scoring films recently and getting a few callbacks on scoring senior theses and things of that nature.
That's really cool. What do you use to compose?
It depends on what the project is. If I'm going to do all software, I'm going to try to keep it as real as possible, with guitars and this synthesizer from 1981 that I have, and, rotary organs and stuff. But if we're doing real stuff, I'm going to go to Finale and create some sheet music, or, like for the Crime Wave project, I got to score that as well. I just brought some guys into the studio. I said, listen, we're doing this little blues walk in C minor. Just give me this. And then I had the caliber of musicians with me that they could listen to what I was saying and immediately deal it out. So that was a huge advantage.
It's always good to have somebody that not only understands what you want them to do, but is able to do it.
Yeah. And I've, outside of movies, I got to compose a Drumline Show for a school in Kansas.
Oh, neat. How was that?
Well, it was cool that I ended up doing it. This guy on Reddit was like, hey, I need a show designer. I don't know what to do. How do you find somebody? And I said, I'll do it. So
he's like, you're like, all you need to do is ask.
Yeah, I said, I'll do it this amount. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll think about it. And I said, no, don't think about it. Here's some music, here's some stuff I've done, this and that. And he's like, okay. So we get it going. I sent him one movement every 2 weeks or so. And by the time I'm ready to send him the last movement and the tag ending, it was called off. But, I had my suspicions, maybe this isn't real at all. So I said, hey, can you send me videos of them playing my music? And it was real. These guys were playing terribly, but it was the beats that I wrote on the page. So, I had called the band director and everything. I'm like, hey, what's going on with this? Are you guys fielding this show for real? And he's like, as far as I know. He's like, what's your background? What makes you qualified to get paid? And I'm like, my music. You don't need to know that. How dare you ask me that?
You're playing my music and you're asking me.
Yeah, who cares if I'm Paul Rennick or Mike McIntosh or something? If you're gonna play my music.
Right.
But yeah, that was a fun experience because eventually, even though they folded, I did get paid, and I have a show that I'm very proud of and means a lot to me.
Maybe somebody else will play that music someday.
Right, I just keep it in my back pocket in case, there's a small school who wants a show that's ready to go out of the box. I just like having that on my resume saying, I can do a few different things when it comes to music, and somebody has paid for it. So, maybe there'll be more for that down the road.
Have you been composing longer than you've been shooting video?
I started playing guitar when I was 9, and I learned all by ear. Like, I would listen to the radio and just try to find that note on the guitar. I
always feel that the best guitarists teach themselves.
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen did it that way. He just sat in his room until he was
my
ready.
stepdad, would sit in his room and he'd, with a tape player, and he'd rewind it, and then he'd try it, and then he would fail, and then he'd rewind it again and try it. And,
well, the thing is, with guitar, I tried and failed until I was 75% of the way there where you're like, wow, that does kind of sound like that. And then I'd stop and go do something else. Which is why over the years I've learned to play 15 instruments, but none of them very well. So, like,
I recently picked up a tenor banjo.
Yeah?
And I haven't really been playing it very much. I really want to learn it.
It's just fun to play pretend sometimes when it comes to music.
It's a really, really pretty wall decoration, corner decoration right now, but I really do feel that once the year turns over to 2015, my head will be clear a little bit, and I'll really have time to do that.
Yeah, I've always wanted to learn that kind of stuff, but those guys are fast. Banjo players.
Tenor banjo is a little bit different than a regular banjo.
Oh, is it?
It's like strumming, more